my persuasive speech. In 2015, the annual revenue for the NFL was $13 billion. For MLB, it was 9.5. For the NBA, 4.8, and for the NHL, it was 3.7 billion. That's a combined annual revenue of $31 billion. It is rumored for the pornographic industry, the annual revenue was between $6 billion and $97 billion. Pornhub averaged 81 million visitors per day, 28.5 billion visitors per year, with 24.7 searches performed. That's 50,000 searches per minute and 800 per second. Sex is without a doubt one of the greatest gifts that God has ever bestowed upon man. Leave it to us to screw it up and pervert it. Coming from a former porn addict, I can tell you that this addiction will take you further than you intended to go and keep you longer than you intended to stay. The use of porn desensitized me and taught me to only value women as products created for pleasure other than individuals. Once you realize that the individuals and scenarios inside of porn is strictly fictional and that the likelihood of this happening in your life is very unlikely, you become very lonely. There are no payoffs when it comes to watching pornography. It cannot and will not meet any of your physical, emotional, mental, or sexual needs. However, there is costs. You lose an enormous amount of time, you lose interest in what is real, and you acquire an addiction that becomes almost impossible to quit. So as you're watching this, you may ask, what's the big deal? It's just porn. Those were my exact words. This harmless hobby, I had no idea was going to take me and my family down a disastrous path. You see, we must start now in protecting the people we love and protecting ourselves against this terrible, terrible thing. Porn is a little secret that leads to big problems. And an addiction to porn leads to low self-esteem, to relationship issues, and finally, let's look at that annual income revenue and see what it actually goes towards. Let's begin by looking at the effects of pornography. Doyle believes that pornography has a circular relationship with low self-esteem. He argues that low self-esteem is often a driving force leading to porn addiction, but that low self-esteem also increases with heavy use. The high levels of dopamine secreted in the brain can provide short terms of positive feelings, which remove feelings of low self-esteem, even if only briefly. However, soon enough, the feelings return and are often stronger as the porn addict feels worse due to concern about the content they have accessed or fears of being discovered. One of the greatest lies they tell you is this could be you. That's the reason they look into the camera. The fictional characters that you are looking at are often under the influence of drugs just to perform the scene that they are doing. The truth is, the fantasy world of porn is an unrealistic and sets expectations that cannot be met. This creates strain on a lot of relationships. Introducing porn inside of the marriage bedroom is never a great idea. It cannot spice up a marriage. The writers of Till Porn Do Us Part conducted a survey from 2006-2014 on 2,120 married couples. The introduction of porn into the marriage doubled the divorce rate. Women who started using porn nearly tripled from 6 to 16%, whereas men associated with the increase of porn 5 to 10%. So low self-esteem, divorce, it's not a big deal, right? Well, let's look at what happens every time you click on or download a video. According to John Henry Weston, he states, as long as American men are being trained to think that violent, disturbing pornography is sexually acceptable, an enormous clientele for sex traffickers is being created every day in homes, college dorms, and apartments across the world. On April 11, 2018, the White House provided these stats. Sex trafficking is a global form of modern-day slavery. in which individuals are coerced to perform commercial sex acts against their will. 4.8 million victims were enforced sexual exploitation. Over 21% of these trafficked for sex are children. In fiscal year 2017, the Department of Homeland Security investigated 833 human trafficking cases. This resulted in 1,602 arrests, 578 convictions, and identified 518 victims of human trafficking. So what's the big deal, right? It's just porn. Well, as I just stated, it is a big deal, and it doesn't affect just you. I would encourage you, as soon as you possibly can, to pull out your mobile device and download accountability software such as Covenant Eyes. If you are addicted to pornography, I would encourage you to start attending recovery classes such as Sex Addicts Anonymous or Celebrate Recovery, where you can start to find hope and healing to deal with what you're going through. Because as I stated, it does not affect just you, and it is a big deal. Thank you for letting me share.